welcome to Sports News. I'm Barong Tony Uranta. In the UEFA Champions League matches played today, Italian champions Juventus got their pound of flesh from Olympiacos, beating the Turkish side 3-2. Elsewhere, La Liga champions Atletico Madrid had a comfortable 2-0 victory over Malmo, while Swiss side Basel thrashed Ludogorets 4-0. 10-time winners Real Madrid also secured their hard-fought 1-0 victory over Liverpool, which takes them to the next round. Russian side Zenit St. Petersburg tasted defeat at home, losing 2-1 to Bayer Leverkusen. Portuguese giants Benfica also defeated Monaco 1-0, while Arsenal were forced to a 3-3 draw despite losing 3-0 earlier in the game. German side Borussia Dortmund secured their passage to the next round with a convincing 4-win victory over Galatasaray. Meanwhile, the World Football Governing Body, FIFA, has lifted the threat to suspend Nigeria after President Goodluck Jonathan persuaded the two warring factions of the Nigerian Football Federation, NFF, to seek a compromise. As part of the deal, the Chris Giwa faction withdrew their court case, which led to a ruling that the election of the FIFA-backed faction had been invalid. However, despite meeting the Friday deadline to withdraw the case, a reported breakdown in talks between the two factions may have dashed hopes that the crisis in Nigerian football has been overcome. In a statement, FIFA announced the case will not be referred to the FIFA Emergency Committee for implementation of the suspension of the NFF, but will continue to closely monitor the situation in Nigeria. And Super Eagles coach Stephen Keshi is impressed with the fitness of the invited players for the return leg of the Africa Cup of Nations qualifier against Congo and South Africa. Raheem Lawal was on the score sheet for the Turkish Super League club Akhisarspor yesterday, while defenders Godfrey Agboabona and Ellison Echijele scored for their clubs in Turkey and France at the weekend. Emmanuel Menike also scored his first league goal in over 2 months for Fenerbahce. Coach Keshi is confident the team will not only book one of the tickets for the 2015 AFCON, but will also go a step further by successfully defending their AFCON title next year. Meanwhile, it's a full house in Uyo, the Akwa Ibom State capital, as the home-based lads intensify preparations for the friendly against Ghana. All the invited players for the game were involved in their first training session ahead of the game. And on the continent, the Ghana Football Association, the GFA, has sent a list of 18 players and 9 officials for the country's Olympic team, the Black Leaders, to the Nigeria Football Federation, NFF, for Friday's international friendly to commission the new Akwa Ibom International Stadium in Uyo. The 18-man squad includes Richard Ofori, Eric Ofori, Antwi Emmanuel, Nti Mensah, Benjamin Agyari, Lawrence Latry, and Elvis Opoku. They are drawn from the top Ghanaian clubs like Ashanti Kotoko, Liberty Professionals, and Accra Hearts of Oak. The head coach is Malik Jabier, with Abdul Karim Zito as assistant coach and Andrew Ayim as doctor. Veteran sports journalist Paul Batsi will serve as the match commissioner for the game. And that's it on Sports News for tonight. I'm Brian Tony Aranta. AJ will be back in a moment.
Okay, now let's take a look at some regional news. The ongoing crisis in the West African country of Burkina Faso has prompted an emergency delegation of 3 ECOWAS members countries to dialogue with the warring factions in the country. The delegation, which will be led by the current president of the ECOWAS heads of state and government, President John Mahama of Ghana, also has President Goodluck Jonathan and President Macky Sall of Senegal. The one-day visit is expected to consist of a meeting with Burkina Faso's interim head of state, Lieutenant Colonel Isaac Zida, opposition leaders, members of civil society, and other political stakeholders in the country. The recent political turmoil in Burkina Faso led to the resignation of the former President Blaise Compaoré and the assumption of power by Zida, whom the unions has issued an ultimatum to transfer power back to the civil administration within 2 weeks or face sanctions. Now, Ukraine's President Pt.4 has taken action against the rebellion in the country's eastern region, and Victoria Ido tells us more about it.
The soldiers have one mission in mind, which is to protect the Luhansk region. He made this announcement following a meeting with the country's security chiefs who discussed elections held in Donetsk and Luhansk region. The elections, which held on Sunday, have been condemned by Ukraine and Western allies. And Americans voted in mid-elections today, which will determine who controls the Senate. The elections are also important as they prepare the country for presidential elections in 2016. Analysts in the U.S. are saying the Republicans have a better chance at winning this time because President Barack Obama, who belongs to the Democratic Party, has not enjoyed much popularity in a long while. Here in Africa, prosecutors in South Africa are hoping to be back in court appealing Oscar Pistorius' sentence, which they describe as shockingly light. He has been sentenced to 5 years in prison for culpable homicide and could be released in 10 months for good behavior. The prosecutor said Judge Thokozile Masipa erred in overemphasizing the personal circumstances of the accused and the fact that the accused was suffering from post-traumatic stress, was anxious, and seems remorseful. These are the major stories in the foreign scene today. It's back to you.
Thanks a lot, Victoria. Now, talk about dreams coming true. After 15 years in the making, Aeromobile's flying roadster is currently on display in Vienna at the Pioneers Festival for Entrepreneurship and Digital Technology. Weighing just 450 kilograms with a wingspan of 8.2 meters, it can fly around 700 kilometers, easily far enough to cope with most journeys across the UK. There's even room for a flying companion if they don't mind squeezing in fairly close. It may sound like something from a science fiction film, but Aeromobile co-founder Juraj Vakulik is adamant that the flying car is more than just a boy's toy and could become a viable transport option by 2017 once it's undergone extensive testing. Consuming just 7.5 liters of fuel per 100 kilometers traveled, it could be an appealing option for commuters and holidaymakers. It has particular potential in countries where light aircraft are already frequently used, such as the United States and Australia, and those with underdeveloped road infrastructure, such as some African countries. The project is the brainchild of engineer and designer Stephen Klein, head of Transport Design Studio at the Academy of Fine Arts and Design in Bratislava. He's dreamed of creating a flying car since childhood, but began seriously working on the idea at the university in the early 1990s. Flying car, fantastic. And the main news again. The Council of State has ratified the appointment of the Inspector General of Police at a meeting attended by four parts leaders in the presidential villa today. The Council also confirmed Nigeria's Ebola-free status and called for patience over the Chibok girls. And the military has commenced air bombardment of terrorists who were reported to have stormed Ashaka in Gombe State, taking over a police station as well as the Ashaka Cement Company premises. Well, that's the news at 10 tonight. Thank you so much for staying with us. I'm Ijoma Hunyato. You have a great night.